Howdy, howdy. It's Rodfather 916. Reviewing Married to Medicine, Season 8, Part 2 of the reunion. Season 8, it was okay. The show is sort of losing steam. As shows do, it's losing steam. So it was okay. It wasn't great. And I wondered for a while how much time did it have left. But they brought a new cast member, Anila, and I don't remember her last name, but her family is now in there, and she's a neighbor or a friend of Toya's, and that's how she's introduced. I'm not sure the relationship, but she's alien, but she's outgoing, but the drama, and that's why I think the show will have new life because of Neela, is in the form of her mother-in-law. If you're a fan of Real Housewives of Atlanta, think Mama Joyce. The mother-in-law is something else. She's critical. Her son-in-law is not a fan. She's not a fan of her son-in-law. And there's fire there. Fire there. Because Anila reminds him a little bit of Toya. You know, there's a lot of flash there. I'm not sure if there's a lot of substance. But I want to get into why I like Married for Medicine. Unlike the other Bravo reunion shows, these women have history. The only one I can come up to think that's anywhere close to Real Housewives of New York. These women have history. Some cases 20 years, but every one of the cast members has at least 8 to 10 years of real relationships with these people. And while the season may be all right, the reunions often have spark. There was an issue with Dr. Jackie and her husband Curtis, and Cecil and Dr. Simone. And the cast played an important part they actually saved the marriages, particularly in the case of Dr. Simone and Cecil. Simone had filed for divorce, and Dr. Heavenly, Dr. Jackie, Toya, Tearsome everybody, Tearsome Andy, on air, saved that marriage. And in fact, she said that. You know, these are not people on ready with receipts, what Quad does, and Dr. Jackie sometimes, but, you know, they're not there with their phones with receipts. They really care about each other. And it comes through. And it did tonight. I want to talk about, in no particular order, Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone. Before the season began, in her blog, Dr. Heavenly said there was no real relationship between Jackie and Simone. Their makeup was for TV only. I was annoyed by that because I have a lot of faith in these women from the TV show. And then Quad goes on Watch What Happens Live and says the same thing. And so, Quad Webb, girl, I owe you an apology because I didn't want you on the show. But yesterday you could have I should have said yesterday, tonight you could have taken over for Andy Cohen. In fact, you could do this. You could run a reunion. Are you listening to Bravo or anybody else? This woman could run a reunion. And in fact, a lot of women, which I found impressive, a lot of cast members took Andy's job away from him. And he was enjoying it. Let her talk. So they wanted to know, hey, is this for real? Because Dr. Heavenly and Quad was saying, listen, we talk to you every day. We know you and Jackie are not studying together as you used to. You're not hanging out as you used to. We know this is BS. Okay? For me, the problem is Dr. Simone. Dr. Simone she doesn't want to share. She doesn't want to share. She doesn't want to be in a three-way with Dr. Heavenly. And I'm going to get to Dr. Heavenly in a second. She doesn't want to be. It's always been Dr. Jackie, Dr. Simone. Not a Three Musketeers. This is a duo. And while Heavenly and Dr. Simone have been close friends, Heavenly's got a problem. Unlike other castmates on the show, Heavenly has a podcast, and I think she has a blog, where she talks about the show that she's in. And we know Dr. Heavenly, she's talking trash. So if you are a cast member and she's talking trash about you at night and want to kiki with you in the daytime, that's not going to work for a whole lot of people. And even though she loves Dr. Jackie, Dr. Heavenly's going to slip and talk to her. So I don't know. I think Heavenly needs to choose a lane. And so Simone is struggling with this. You know, it's like, yeah, hey, I like Heavenly, but, the last season, Heavenly was online talking about her husband, Cecil. And Cecil and Heavenly had it through. And of course, if you're talking about her man, so Simone is not there for it. So I'm not sure how this is going to work. They can't tell the women not to do this. But, those of us who watch reality TV know that these women will ice out a cast member. I have nothing to say to her. We have nothing to say to her. So I don't know the fate. But there's a lot of residual damage. Again, Simone is petty. Jackie brought her son into the world. And Simone wouldn't invite him into the birthday party. She said it was private, but she brought Anila, and Anila's only been around 10 minutes. That hurt Jackie. That's deep. That's deep. For an hour, you could let the pettiness go and say, hey, this is important to my son, because I'm sure it was important to Cecil. But Simone is petty, and at least she admits it, but it's a price to pay. The relationship wants to come together, but there are bumps. And I do blame most of this on Dr. Simone, who I love Simone. But Simone doesn't like to share, as her husband, made her husband give up a female friend. When I was married, I had female friends. My wife didn't have issues with it. I would have issues of listen, I'm with you at night. I'm with you in the daytime. The female friend, we're all together. The three of us, we're having, but that's not how Simone operates. I'm not sharing. I don't care. That's who I am. So I'm not sure how the relationship is going to end. So the women are talking. We're moving on. The women are talking, and the focus is on Contessa, who has just been devastated. The marriage with Dr. Scott has been bad. He doesn't want to go into counseling. He made some vague bullshit about seeing a life coach on TV named Kevin Johnson, for those who live in Sacramento. That used to be Sacramento's mayor, and he played for the Phoenix Sun. He was power forward. But anyway, it was BS. I struggle with Dr. Scott in many ways because Dr. Scott is the smartest man in the entire world. These people think they're the smartest person, but they're transparent and they become boring. Let me say it again. Boring. So Contessa has confided all the problems in her marriage with the women in her circle. They have supported her. And at this one point, they're sort of her mouthpiece. Toya, notably Toya and Quad. And Quad mentioned that Contessa had filed for separation. The men are watching this from the back. When a divorce comes up, Scott feels blindsided. And the men rally around Scott. Because at one point, Scott wants to leave. But Curtis, Dr. Jackie's husband, says, listen, don't leave. Here's your opportunity to tell the world your side. If you leave, it will always be her side. These people, these men, that was excellent advice. So in solidarity, all the men crash the women's segment. Scott is blindsided. He just feels blindsided, and he starts to speak. Mistake. He learns that this is not new. This is a discussion that he and his wife already had. He thought it was new, but the women insisted, and Andy insisted that he stay there. They had questions. The smartest guys in the room, like I said, are boring because what convoluted thing they have that they think they're superior to everybody else, everybody's peeped their card. Everybody knows who he is. And so they asked him about DMs and pictures, and he was first saying, well, I don't know, but yeah, I have a picture, and yes, I still have the pictures. And when the camera shot to the men were like, oh man, like, you didn't need to say this. You have effed up. And so he's losing the men. I mean, I think it was Cecil who wanted to throw the towel and say, you need to stop talking. This is not helping you. Because the women are not buying it. Heavenly is not buying it. Quad is not buying it. They're not buying it. The women are not buying it. And he goes on, and, on his phone, he has Siri to ask for his girlfriend, and comes up Tessa. And it's clear that's old. He's done that already. I'm sorry, that was new. He put that in there just for TV. It looks bad. So things break down. Contessa wants to keep her family together, but we learn that the 16 years that they've been together, it has been rocky for 16 years. To the point that she loses her voice when she's in the presence of Scott. And perhaps that's why the women are speaking. While Scott is gone, she has full voice. She can sing like Aretha Franklin, but when he is in her presence, she just gets quiet. And one wonders if that's a healthy environment, because the kids know. As one who knows, been through divorce, the kids know. And at one point they were backstage, the ladies, and Dr. Jackie, I forgot what she said to Dr. Contessa, but Dr. Contessa started screaming at Jackie like, why do I always have to do it? Why is it always me? Why is it always me? And my thoughts were, why aren't you saying this to your husband? Why aren't you walking away? See, we teach people, if you watch any of my videos, there's one line, we teach people how to treat us. The reason that things are happening to Dr. Contessa is because she's allowed Scott to treat her that way. If she left, which, it's not my business, but if she left, she'd make a point. See, I think Dr. Scott doesn't want to go to counseling because he can't control the environment. He can't control what can come out. But what we've seen so far on the show is that we've seen him control her. Come on, baby, let's go. Weeping, she leaves. And it's funny that this troubles the F out of Toya, because you can see these two women have hated each other from the beginning. And now they are bosom buddies, united in, I think, in Toya's part, how he treats his wife. He won't throw her a bone. It's her fault. And I hate to say it, she'd be better off without him. But as the night progresses and the men come out, the more Scott spoke, the worse he looked. And Contessa, you want somebody's marriage to fail, but you also don't want to see somebody beaten up. But she's gotten used to being beaten up. She's allowed it to happen. The show was intense. That was intense. It was very emotional watching the women be emotional. It was also empowering watching the women roast Scott. The men who were once unified and supporting him backed away. Can't you throw her a bone, brother? Just throw her a bone. Simone said, can you do one thing that she asked? Just one. Because in every relationship, everybody wants to win. If one person gets everything they want in a relationship, the relationship will eventually fail. Because everybody wants to win now and then. So sometimes you throw that person a bone. And the one thing that Contessa wants, the one thing is she wants the marriage to heal. She wants an intact, happy family, that she's something that she didn't recognize growing up, something she didn't have. But she's living her nightmare. And she can't drag Scott to the well if he doesn't want to drink. And I think what she'd be better off is saving her own family. This is the longest review I've ever done for a reality show. I try not to go longer than 12 minutes, and I'm almost 20. I'm looking forward to seeing next week part 3. If you like what you see, you like what you hear, hit subscribe. If you don't like when you want to pull me in a task and tell me off, do so. If you like it, share it with your friends. I'm curious what you think. Am I far gone? Am I overthinking Scott? What do you think about what I said about Heavenly and talking about all her friends, her castmates? Rodfather 916, hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. Wishing you love, joy, and happiness. I really do. We'll chat later. Part 3, next Sunday. Let's talk. Bye.